She chokes down the hated beans, but freezes when Mom mentions an old acquaintance Sunjong's family is moving back. A fuzzy childhood memory suddenly surfaces. Before she can process it, a fight breaks out over the beans. Mie screams in frustration, feeling wrongly accused, her teenage temper detonating instantly. In reality, Mie is clueless about romance. Standing in the bookstore reading about crushes, she frowns in confusion, unable to grasp the concept of love. Only the latest comic book makes her eyes sparkle. As she sprints home clutching it, she spots the new neighbor boy, feeling a sudden, strange sense of nostalgia. Her childhood memories aren't sweet, they're pure chaos. Back then, she and her childhood friend were constantly fighting or plotting revenge, acting like total enemies. Their friendship was filled with plastic bullets and traps. That blonde kid used to hunt her down with a toy gun, sending Mie fleeing through the corridors in terror. Playtime often escalated into terror, sometimes dragging parents into the mess. One moment it's a shootout, the next it's a somber apology scene. Actually, Mie won plenty of times, often making him cry before being chased by her dad holding a shoe. That wild girl was the young Huang Mie. Until that one sunset, when their Cold War halted. The boy turned serious and suddenly announced he was moving to Seoul, freezing the atmosphere instantly. Then came the bombshell: her nemesis confessed he used to have a crush on her. Mie crashed on the spot, staring blankly as he turned and walked away. She just wanted to read comics, but this belated confession blindsided her. Watching his retreating back, regret finally hit her. Actually, I like you too. Reality is harsh. Only comics are sweet. Mie's childhood was a series of goodbyes, watching friends move away one by one while she stayed behind. At first, they promised to write, but letters stopped coming and people drifted apart. Every tearful goodbye behind a moving car eventually turned into one-sided loss. Only Mie is trapped in this old neighborhood. Because the high school standardization policy skipped this town, she's stuck here, forced to grind for entrance exams. She envies everyone who gets to leave, dreaming of escaping to Seoul. But back home, she's stuck, and even the fried chicken isn't the flavor she wanted. Dad doesn't get it at all. He excitedly brings home a stack of practice tests, expecting her to get into a top school. Staring at the pile, Mie feels her world collapsing. The pent-up pressure explodes in a silent mental scream. She feels crushed by the academic burden, floating alone in the pitch-black night sky. Even walking the dog is exhausting in her miserable third year. School is worse. Even her best friend signed up for cram school. The competitive atmosphere is suffocating. Rushing to retrieve her confiscated comic, she gets lectured by the teacher again and worries about late fees. Just another unlucky, frustrating day for Huang Mie. Fresh off a scolding, Mie endures the slow walk punishment. The teacher, sporting a busted lip and slippers, trails her closely, radiating pure oppression. Suddenly, the teacher barks at a tall boy nearby. Mie's jaw drops as the battered student, eyes full of hate, slams his body violently against the doorframe. Instead of fear, the loud crash sparks envy in Mie. Staring at the giant, her eyes sparkle. She just wants her baggy uniform to fit like that. The bell rings, and she dashes for class. But halfway there, she freezes. That tall silhouette feels terrifyingly familiar. Her memory rewinds. The neighbor her parents mentioned at dinner, and a childhood cry of "wait for me." The images suddenly overlap. The shadow of the clingy little kid from her past matches the giant perfectly. Mie stands frozen in the hallway, realization hitting hard. It's him. Flashback to the summer of '93, buzzing with cicadas. 10-year-old Mie cheerfully asks to be friends, but the little boy stands there like a statue, refusing to look up. Back in the present, Mie struggles to recall his face. His name is a blur too, considering everyone back then just called him. Back then, Mie threw a massive tantrum about missing the beach. To save money, her dad dragged her to a relative's countryside home instead, and that's where she met that tall boy for the first time. Meanwhile, at school, Rumors about Lucifer transferring from Goguryeo Middle are exploding. Lucifer? Hearing the nickname, Mie imagines a demon. She can't reconcile that terrifying title with the little tag-along from her childhood. The rumors get wilder, claiming he was expelled for violence. Worst of all, this legendary monster is now standing on the next door balcony, waving at her. At the moving scene, Mie forces a greeting. Cheol's dad is overly enthusiastic, praising his good boy while completely ignoring the gloomy aura radiating from his son. The adults insist on forcing these awkward teens together. Watching the giant bow politely, Mie cringes internally. Act like childhood friends? Give me a break. As a kid, he called her clingy. Now, he's transformed into a perfect boy who smiles and delivers rice cakes to neighbors. The contrast is jarring. Late at night, the creaking of her shabby desk drives Mie crazy. Meanwhile, at the dinner table, her dad is still worrying about that so-called good boy next door. Be nice to him. Her dad's nagging finally triggers an explosion. Mie vents all her frustration about her old furniture. Buy me a swivel chair, and maybe I will. Since she can't sleep, why not spy? Mie sets up her binoculars, but a face suddenly pops into view. Hey, you're Huang Mie, right? It turns out to be Cheol's sister, Sunjong. Leaning out the window, she cheerfully asks Mie to look after her brother. Mie agrees verbally, but internally? Total resignation. Winter break is chaotic for Mie, oscillating between lonely exam prep and escaping reality through idle videos. She lingers at her friend's house, wasting time on the web and obsessing over a comic villain named Lucifer, completely ignoring her studies. Distracted by Y2K doomsday prophecies in the library and counting planes outside, she eventually forces herself back to her desk in defeat. The day before school is a battlefield: bad haircuts, karaoke celebrations, and a nagging feeling that she's forgotten something crucial. A bicycle speeds past her on the way home, narrowly missing her. Exhausted, Mie returns to a house where even the dog gives her the cold shoulder. With a broken phone and an ancient radio blasting commercials, Mie lies in bed, resenting the dilapidated state of her home. Hearing strange noises next door, she grabs her binoculars to spy, but finds only empty windows and a lonely night sky. Suddenly, a hooded figure pushing a bicycle passes by, startling Mie enough to make her duck out of sight in fear. The screeching of the old bicycle wheels cuts through the night, driving Mie crazy as she hides under her covers. Suddenly, the antique dresser comes crashing down. Mie screams from underneath the wreckage as her brother rushes in, terrified. The crash reveals everything: her secret stash of comics and CDs spills out. Forgetting the pain, Mie breaks into a cold sweat. Mom explodes at the mess, threatening to burn the trash, but Dad steps in just in time to save Mie's precious collection. Still reeling from the family chaos, her brother sulks while walking the dog, muttering complaints about their mom's harshness. While dumping trash, her brother spots a pristine swivel chair. He moves to grab it but freezes when he sees a tall, scary guy dumping boxes. Hiding in the shadows, the brother realizes the guy is Sunjong's younger brother, the rumored delinquent from next door. The dog in his arm suddenly barks, causing Cheol to whip around with a terrifying glare that freezes the brother in sheer terror. Under the moonlight, their paths cross. Though it starts with terror, this moment marks the beginning of an unforgettable connection. That's right, the story officially starts now. The clash of youth always comes when you least expect it. Scene change. Mie is walking the dog in the alley when she stumbles upon the suspicious character dealing with his trash. Cheol springs back like a startled animal, glaring fiercely. Mie awkwardly tries to say hello, but the air is thick with tension. Chaos erupts as Monk lunges at Cheol, making him scream. While Mie frantically tries to grab the dog, Cheol ends up lifting the beast in self-defense, leaving them both apologizing in the mess. Silence falls as the chaos settles. Cheol stares down intently, leaving Mie to force an awkward smile. He stammers that it's been a while, towering over her in the dim light. As they walk, Cheol tries to bring up trash duty, but Mie stares at his red eyes. Flustered, he wipes his face, trips over his own shoelaces, and crashes to the ground. Mie picks up his shoe to help, but Cheol springs up instantly. He snatches the shoe and sprints away with one bare foot, leaving Mie completely baffled. Under the moonlight, Cheol stands alone, mortified and lost. Meanwhile, Mie furiously scolds her dog for scaring him off, utterly confused by his extreme reaction. Looking at what he left behind, Mie flashes back to seeing him in the school hallway. He had a bandage on his face and loomed over everyone like a giant, radiating danger. In her memories, Cheol was always tall and secretive. Mie thinks back to his frantic behavior just now and realizes it wasn't just a fall. Was he actually crying? Back in his room, Cheol wakes up from a nightmare, drenched in sweat. He bolts upright, screaming in panic, realizing he forgot to retrieve his swivel chair. He rolls around in agony, feeling pathetic for scavenging furniture, but then a bigger fear hits him. He prays desperately not to be in the same class as the troublesome Mie. The fear is mutual. Students gossip over snacks about the infamous Lucifer. The mere thought of ending up in the same class as the delinquent makes them shiver with dread. Back at the temple, Mie bows deeply in prayer. As if the Buddha heard her, a plane roars across the sky, and she flashes a victory sign, convinced her wish will be granted. She abandons all other shallow dreams for one single wish. Absolutely, definitely do not let her be in the same class as Cheol. But the morning of the new term arrives regardless. Mie wakes up on the first day to her mom screaming. Seeing the bright sunlight, she shrieks and bounces out of bed, a perfect late start to a doomed day. March 2nd, 1999. Mie sprints down the hallway with everything she's got. At the very last second, she slides to the door of class 3 to 12, relieved to have made it. Before she can catch her breath, she slams right into a broad back. They both freeze. Mie frantically apologizes while clutching her head, as a familiar awkwardness fills the air. The boy slowly turns around, revealing Cheol's pale, horrified face. As their eyes lock, their expressions crumble. Their worst nightmare has come true. They are 100% in the same class. Cheol face bombs in utter disbelief, while Mie clutches her head, refusing to accept this cruel fate. As Cheol steps into the classroom, the noisy chatter instantly dies out. Dozens of eyes lock onto the door as the legendary demon walks in. Cheol wears his signature "Do Not Approach" face, lowering the room's temperature with every step. Whispers circulate about him being forcibly transferred. Ignoring them, Cheol slams his bag down and slumps into his seat. The students around him hold their breath, terrified of provoking Lucifer. Then Mie sneaks in, and the deadly silence breaks into gleeful laughter. Everyone points at her and Cheol, as if watching a tragedy unfold. Their doomed connection is just getting started. The new homeroom teacher storms in like a drill sergeant, announcing that seats will be decided by lottery, no exceptions. Just Mie's luck, she pulls seat 25. She slumps down, only to hear a heavy thud next to her as the scary guy claims seat 26. Numbers 25 and 26 are side by side. They stare at their slips in horror, the tension so thick even the teacher notices something's up. The teacher calls roll, Cheol Kim, and Mie Huang. The classroom erupts. Their names together are a legendary punchline. Turns out, Cheol and Mie was a massive 90s pop duo. Now, these two are living, breathing memes. It's 1999, an era of cordless phones and outdated jokes, making this coincidence the peak of comedy for the class. The predictable jokes start flying. Mie cringes so hard she wants to vanish, while the class has a field day. The whole class is howling, forcing a connection between them. Mie's worst nightmare of being the center of attention is coming true. Flashback to their first meeting. Little Mie was all smiles and energy, while little Cheol was just a silent brick wall. Even back then, the adults wouldn't let the name joke go, trying to force them to do the famous loofah dance, while Cheol hid in shame. The adults pushed the joke too far, teasing about marriage. That's when little Cheol snapped, screaming in pure, childish rage. Cheol bolted and face-planted in his escape. Thankfully, the mom stepped in, smacking some sense into the insensitive dads. Back in the present, these 16-year-olds are just as immature as the adults were, cackling and demanding a dance performance. Mi accepts her doom, knowing this bullying will last all year. Beside her, Cheol is vibrating with suppressed rage, practically growling. The teacher slams the desk for silence. Cheol stares straight ahead, with a look so murderous the whole room drops a few degrees. Everyone expects him to explode, but he just apologizes. The teacher, unimpressed by his attitude, orders him to the back for punishment. Cheol silently does push-ups in the back. The class falls deathly silent, terrified by the sudden shift from chaos to oppression. The bell rings, and the teacher drags Cheol away. The students immediately panic, wondering if they're dead meat for mocking him. Rumors fly that he's the infamous Lucifer. Horrified that her nightmare is real, Mei sprints away, desperate to distance herself. Cheol walks alone, parting the crowd like the Red Sea. Whispers of gang fights and scars follow him. No one dares to get close. The principal drones on, but the upperclassmen ignore the speech, busy scanning and judging the fresh meat. Rumors about the demon transfer student spread like wildfire. Mei freezes in shock when she hears she's in his class. Whispers of gangster fill the hall. Friends look at Mei with pure pity, as if she's already doomed. Friends drift away laughing, leaving Mei to drag her heavy feet home alone, crushed by the bad news. The moment she steps inside, the facade cracks, bag drops, face contorts in pure misery. She mentally screams at the gods and the sky, cursing the cruel fate of her class assignment. The thought of sitting next to that rage monster triggers a terrifying childhood flashback, reducing her to tears. Terror gives way to hunger as her stomach growls, instantly snapping her back to reality and the fridge. Meanwhile, the legendary demon Cheol is hiding in his room until his sister barks out an order. The school's most feared tough guy meekly puts on his jacket to run a grocery errand for his sister. He pulls his hat low to vanish, but a neighbor's cheerful greeting instantly ruins his stealth mode. Mei gasps in delight at the new furniture in her room, oblivious that it's just Cheol's discarded trash. Recognizing it from the trash pile doesn't stop her. She hops on the swivel chair and spins like a maniac. She spins too fast, crashes into the wall, and eats the floor, but still declares her undying love for the chair. The fun is cut short when the phone screams, startling her out of her playtime. Her friend on the line immediately starts teasing her about Lucifer, making Mei bristle with annoyance. The line crosses, and she overhears a man's voice and intimate whisper. She panics, thinking she's stumbled onto a scandal. The call cuts dead. Furious at the glitchy tech, she takes her rage out on a defenseless pillow. Turns out it was just a trip breaker. Power's back, phone works, and the drama evaporates instantly. Seeing her mom rented Titanic again, Mei counts her coins and heads out for snacks to match the movie marathon. At the convenience store, Mei runs into Sun Jong. The vibe is chill until the clerk suddenly chimes in. The clerk casually asks if she's in Cheol's class. Mei freezes, her heart dropping. Her panicked face gives it all away. Realizing they sit together, Sun Jong and the clerk erupt in hysterical laughter. Mei is mortified, wishing the ground would swallow her whole. Taking pity on her, the clerk treats her to ice cream, bribing her to be patient with the grumpy Lucifer in her class. Just as Mei accepts the bribe and promises to break the ice, the door slams open. Speak of the devil. The terrifying Lucifer walks in with groceries. Their eyes lock, and Mei's jaw drops as the air in the room freezes. Cheol lunges, grabbing Mei's wrist and snarling, "Do you want to die?" Mei is bewildered by his sudden, explosive aggression. "It's about last night." Cheol stares her down, crushing the grocery bag, paranoid that she saw his moment of weakness by the trash. Before she can explain, Cheol abruptly spins around and flees with his cart, dropping a vague threat to cover his own panic. His pride is fragile as glass. Just remembering a childhood fall makes him tremble with humiliation. He'd rather die than be pitted. Mie gets home to her dad boasting about fixing the fuse. The warm, domestic scene is a jarring contrast to the tension she just escaped. By the next morning, rumors are flying. The girls are obsessing over Cheol's mysterious tattoo and his edgy new look. Cheol walks past wearing an eye patch. The gossiping girls instantly clam up, watching him with a mix of fear and fascination. Mie leans in to ask about the furniture, but before she can finish, Lucifer lets out a low, beast-like growl, a clear warning. Instead of backing down, Mie flashes a sly grin. She's realized this scary demon is actually terrified of being exposed. Truth is, Cheol's life has been a mess lately. He hasn't done anything wrong, yet he feels as defaced as that graffiti-covered photo. For months, his silence and bandages fueled the rumors. Everyone avoided him, convinced he was a violent gangster transfer student. In reality, he was just studying. But the class misinterpreted his focus as penance, turning a model student into a repentant demon. The teacher tried to joke about his and Mie's names, but Cheol's death glare instantly sucked all the air out of the room. The teacher mocks their names, and the class erupts. Cheol snaps, screaming for respect and silencing the room instantly. Silence falls after the bell. Classmates tremble in fear, but Cheol just touches his ear, relieved by the sudden quiet. Desperate to change his fate, Cheol grinds through study notes. But the abstract concepts baffle him, and he buries his face in frustration. Suddenly, a flying wallet smacks him right in the head. Books go flying, and Cheol sits there, stunned by the impact. The room freezes. The terrified culprit kneels to apologize, but an exhausted Cheol just waves him away, wanting it to end. The kid scrambles away in terror. Fed up with the noise, Cheol slams his desk and storms out of the classroom. No peace in the hallway either. Students swarm him trying to be friendly, but Cheol shuts them down with a cold glare. Ignoring their insults, he retreats into his own world, forcing himself back into the complex study notes to escape reality. Barely a moment of peace later, the girl next to him pokes his arm. Cheol frowns, only to see her offering a small snack. He tries to focus, but traumatic memories of past threats flood his mind, haunting him like a persistent curse. A pencil drops with a loud clatter. Cheol flinches violently, his exaggerated reaction making Mie burst into laughter. Mie keeps giggling, annoying Cheol further. Then the teacher drops a bomb. A mock exam is coming, and the class groans. School is finally over. Cheol walks home exhausted, hoping that enduring just one more year will be his ticket out. Just as he finds a moment of peace, Mie comes charging down the street like a missile, shouting his name. She beams with excitement, asking to talk. Cheol looks at her with dread, a sinking feeling of déjà vu hitting him hard. Past or present, she never stops chasing. Mie invokes their childhood bond, determined to have a conversation. It turns out to be about a lost shoe. She brings up the ice cream his sister gave her, trying to break the ice. Cheol shuts her down instantly. He tells her to trash the shoe and warns her to stop acting like they're friends. He even spits out that he feels nauseous. Mie freezes, shocked and hurt by the sheer venom in his words. Time rewinds to late autumn, 1998. At the school gates, a figure in slippers steps quietly into a memory of the past. Fresh from a fight, Lucifer looks terrifying. He points sharply ahead, sending Mie scrambling behind a door in sheer panic, terrified by his menacing aura. Mie asks what he saw, shaking with fear. Cheol denies it coolly, but internally, he's desperately praying to the universe that they won't end up in the same class. Moving day. Mie tries to say a cheerful hello, but Cheol reacts like he's seen a ghost. He pulls up his hood and turns his back, refusing to engage. His sister jokes about them being classmates, making Cheol scream in horror. Later, staring at her name on the door, he feels the weight of this inescapable nightmare. He smiles and agrees to run an errand, but inside, he's raging. Feeling like a toy being manipulated by everyone, his internal anger meter hits the red zone. Mie tries to bond over their shared past. Cheol shuts her down with an icy stare. We aren't friends. Don't act like you know me. Mie stands there, stunned. He drops the final blow. Pretend we're strangers. He strides off without looking back, leaving Mie standing there, small, isolated, and stung by his cruelty. Snapping out of it, Mie chases him into the woods. Breathless and sweating, she confronts him. You were pretending not to hear me, weren't you? Flashbacks hit hard. Little Cheol once got beaten up because of her. His eyes, filled with pure rage back then, traumatized Mie, who just wanted to play. Their names were a curse. Kids mocked them as a famous duo, making every roll call a public execution. Mie, the easy target, always ended up in tears. He was a jerk back then, waking her up with a smack. Mie tried to be understanding of his feelings, but his cold arrogance is starting to really piss her off. He orders her around again. Don't act like we're friends. Mie glares at the 16-year-old giant, realizing he's just a childish jerk trapped in a grown body. It was the same back then. While Cheol raged and punched walls, Mie was happily eating dinner, praised by her parents. Their worlds were opposites from the start. At home, her dad keeps praising Cheol's study habits. Snapping under the pressure and comparison, Mie literally barks at the dinner table, stunning her family. Screw being a good kid. Mie has had enough. She kicks off her shoes, imagining herself transforming into an eagle to fly away from this suffocating house. She decides to be a rebel and throws something out. But then her dog walks in, chewing on the very evidence she tried to destroy. Panic mode activates instantly. After a chaotic chase to catch the dog, Mie retreats to her window. With binoculars, she spots a familiar figure zooming by on a bicycle. Under the full moon, she thinks back to his cruel command. Not friends? Fine. She lets out a scoff, accepting his challenge with a defiant smirk. Mie laughs maniacally at the absurdity of it all. Meanwhile, Cheol rides his bike alone through the dark streets, looking burdened and utterly miserable. The tall loner drags trash bags into the shadows, flashing back to cleaning day. A total purge to prepare for the new semester. Family swarms him, nagging about grades and exams. Unable to handle the noise, he grabs the bags and storms out. Under the moonlight, he stares coldly at the box. He tells himself it's just junk he doesn't need anymore. No regrets. But memories hit him like a tidal wave. Childhood snacks, shared laughter. The pain is physical. He crouches down, head in hands. A dog bark shatters the silence. Caught crying, he whips around. A girl holding a puppy is standing there, witnessing everything. She stares at his red eyes, innocently asking if he's sad just like back then. The familiarity pierces right through his defenses. He panics, stumbles, and crashes to the ground. The pain triggers a dark memory, getting beaten up as a kid just for being linked to her. Sweating and gasping on the ground, he spirals. Why her? Why is she always the witness to his most humiliating moments? He realizes it's Mie Huang. Shame explodes in his chest. It feels like a cruel joke from the universe. Totally breaking down, he screams and sprints barefoot into the night. Why move here? Why her? He's losing his mind. Pedaling furiously through the night, the nausea of embarrassment lingers. At his age, humiliation feels worse than death. He tries to skip rope to clear his head, but it's useless. The thoughts just tangle tighter with every jump. Everyone keeps pushing them together. Get along, they say. Fed up, Cheol snaps coldly. Stop being so clingy. Mie jolts awake from a nightmare where Cheol is still rejecting her. Reality isn't much better. Alarms and mom yelling start the day. She checks the mirror and instantly regrets it. Her bangs are a disaster. Feeling ugly puts her in a foul mood. After venting at her reflection, she grabs her bag and bolts. Mom is left staring at the smudged door handle, shaking her head. Meanwhile, Cheol faces a care bomb from mom at breakfast. He buries his face in his bowl, trying to eat his way out of the conversation. He stomps on Dad's foot to escape, but Mom drops the forbidden question anyway. How are you getting along with Mei? Mei is happily butchering a song on her way to school. Suddenly, a figure jumps out. She hits the deck in sheer terror. She remembers her nemesis lives right next door. Before she can speak, Chio looks at her and curses. Crap. Title: Lucifer arrives. Chio steps in, and the school goes dead silent. Girls recoil, the air freezes. His suffocating presence instantly isolates him from the terrified crowd. A classmate bumps the desk and withers under Chio's glare. But Mei isn't fazed. She crosses her arms, mentally blocking him out. To her, he's just invisible. Mei tries to ignore him, but reality hits hard. The teacher announces a brutal mock exam. Panic spreads, pencils snap, but Mei just slumps on her desk in defeat. Classmates gossip about the hellish cram school. When someone suggests Mei should join, she recoils instantly, shouting a firm, "Absolutely not," with a terrified grin. Reality check. Mei flips through her book and realizes she's hopelessly behind. To make it worse, classmates praise Chio's diligence, making her feel even more inadequate. Mei glares at her studious neighbor. In the hall, rumors swirl that Lucifer has turned into a total nerd. Just then, the bell rings, signaling the arrival of unwanted visitors. Chio tries to slip away unnoticed, but trouble finds him. A group of high school bullies blocks his path, trips him, and sneers. "You're Chio Kim, right?" The confrontation begins. The gang circles him, mocking his height and gawking at his scar like it's a tourist attraction. Chio keeps his head down, eyes burning with suppressed rage. They whisper about the rumor that he almost killed a kid. The provocation is relentless. Chio clenches his fist, heart pounding, chanting, "Ignore them," to stop himself from snapping. The bullies laugh and try to drag him along, but Chio reaches his limit. He shuts them down with a cold, "I'm not going," and turns his back, leaving them stunned. They don't get the hint and grab his shoulder. Big mistake. Chio snaps, whipping around with a death stare. "Who the hell do you think you are?" The air instantly freezes. The leader taunts him about his violent past, trying to trigger a fight. Chio flinches but holds his ground, repeating his refusal with icy precision. "How many times do I have to say it?" Chio towers over them. He doesn't throw a punch, but his sheer presence and terrifying gaze are enough to make the bullies hesitate. Meanwhile, Mei battles a different crisis: poverty. Between buying comics and chipping in for a birthday cake, she's counting every coin, stressed about her empty wallet. Lost in her budget woes, Mei is startled by a shout. She looks up just in time to see the high school gang sprinting past her in pure terror, fleeing the scene. Having scared off the thugs, Chio walks away alone. Mei is dragged off by her friends, oblivious. Chio glances back at the noise, his eyes sharp but distant. Because she was there, the gossip mutates. Classmates point at Chio and tease Mei. "Look, it's your boyfriend!" Mei freezes, her face a mix of shock and total confusion. Mei denies it frantically. "He's not my boyfriend." But the crowd ignores her, too busy obsessing over how Chio terrified the bullies. The mix of fear and romance rumors creates chaos. Friends assume she wants to move desks because she's shy around her boyfriend. Mei explodes. "No! I want to move because I'm sick of the teasing." But her protest falls on deaf ears. Late at night, slacker Mei is actually studying with a serious face. Just as she thinks it's not too hard, she throws her hands up and screams for a break. Focus didn't last long. She glances out the window and spots that familiar blue jacket passing by again. Before she can wonder why he's everywhere lately, he snaps his head up, sending her ducking for cover. False alarm. Chio takes off his hat, staring coldly into the night sky. Mei realizes he wasn't looking at her at all, but at the moon above. He pauses in front of the building, looking isolated. Mei squints through the window, trying to see clearly, when suddenly her eyes widen in realization. Before she can see more, Cheol pulls his hat down low and pushes his squeaking bike away, disappearing into the dark street. Watching from the window, one can't help but wonder what is going on inside his head. This is the boy living next door, the legendary Lucifer. The next morning, the school is buzzing. Cheol stands at the classroom door, staring at a note that says yesterday was wild, and lets out a heavy, exhausted sigh. The hallway is full of rumors about him scaring off high schoolers. Cheol storms into the classroom to escape, only for a girl to pop out and yell safe, making things even more awkward. In the student's wild imagination, Cheol isn't even human anymore. Legend has it that in 8th grade, he became Lucifer, defeating 10 guys single-handedly like a max-level video game boss. The rumors get crazier, claiming he crushed another school's top dog and roams as a lone wolf. They paint him as an unstoppable force straight out of a gangster movie. The gossip has turned into a full-blown action comic in their heads. Even surrounded by thugs, a single glare from Lucifer is enough to make everyone freeze in terror. So cool! He didn't even blink. Hearing the mix of awe and fear around him, Cheol sits with his eyes closed, trying to tune out the ridiculous noise. In reality, Cheol is getting interrogated by the teacher. Despite his denials, he's warned not to cause trouble. Even girls cleaning the hallway eye him suspiciously, watching his every move. Mii tries to study, but her ears keep drifting toward Cheol's drama. She forces her attention back to her book, chanting focus in her head, trying to ignore the gloomy atmosphere next to her. But Lucifer's gloomy aura is suffocating. Mii's hand slips, dropping her pencil right at his feet. She looks up and catches sight of his dark, depressed expression. She instinctively reaches for the pencil, but the moment she brushes his arm, he recoils like he's been shocked and roars, "What is wrong with you? You haven't changed a bit." The class goes dead silent. Cheol freezes, realizing he's snapped. Before Mii can react, her friend grabs her and drags her out into the hallway, immediately launching into a lecture. "Are you clueless? He's a gangster." Her friend shakes her shoulders in frustration. "Do you want to get beaten up?" Mii, dizzy and confused, stammers, "Huh? A gangster?" Meanwhile, Cheol walks alone through a hallway of staring eyes, feeling sick to his stomach. Fear or mockery, he hates it all. The gaze of the crowd is suffocating. The shadows of the past creep back in. He swore to himself he wouldn't look like a fool again. If he gets mixed up with trash, like that one more time, he'll ruin everything all over again. Having scared off the bullies, Lucifer walks home alone. Suddenly, a hand taps Mii on the shoulder, and she freezes in sheer terror. It's just an old classmate waving hello, but Cheol responds with a cold stare. The air turns icy instantly, leaving an awkward silence behind. The girls praise him as a good guy behind his back. Cheol overhears, but stays silent, rubbing his forehead in helpless resignation. Back in class, a suffocating silence hangs between them. Cheol keeps his head down, thinking it's best to just pretend they're strangers. Meanwhile, wild rumors about Lucifer spread like wildfire. He beats people up. He's a gangster. Panic takes over the school. Just then, Mii feels a sudden chill. An eerie buzzing sound fills her ears, and a split second later, she lets out a blood-curdling scream. Chaos erupts. A massive cockroach zooms across the floor. Girls scream, desks crash, and total panic consumes the classroom. The bug dashes wildly, triggering waves of screams. Cheol crosses his arms trying to look cool, but his eyes reveal he's secretly freaking out. Watching the bug run rampant, Mii's fear turns into pure rage. Forget being ladylike, she roars, and gets ready to fight. Mii snaps. Eyes blazing with fury, she charges through the chaos like a warrior, screaming "Come to mama," as she hunts it down. The roach takes flight. As everyone cowers in fear, a voice shouts, "I've got it," with sheer determination amidst the panic. Crunch! Mii stomps the bug but slips on the mess. She loses her balance and crashes down a gross and humiliating disaster. Class 3 to 12 has gone absolutely bananas. Mii's dramatic fall leaves everyone stunned, turning the classroom into a total spectacle. Mii stands on a desk, barefoot, with a dead bug stuck to her foot. The teacher yells, students gag, and Cheol looks absolutely horrified. This triggers a flashback. Little Cheol used to run away screaming in terror, chased by a clueless little Mii holding a bug. Back then, Mii proudly showed him the bug she caught. Little Cheol threw up on the spot, while the adults just laughed it off. That's it. Despite his tough exterior, Cheol has always been terrified of bugs. Mii finally realizes why he froze up earlier. Before she can expose him, Cheol yells to settle down. Mii gets sent to wash up but is hailed as a hero, leaving Cheol awkwardly silent. At the sink, Mii fumes. She saved him, and he still acted like a jerk. She angrily stomps her foot, washing away the bug in her patience. At the sink, Cheol scrubs his socks in frustration. He only got dirty protecting that kid from bugs, yet he's the one being called gross. The injustice stings. It was always like this back then. The brat would storm off in a huff, leaving Cheol alone in the woods, chasing behind and begging him to wait. Cheol ran over happily to share some corn, but when the kid tripped, he slapped Cheol's hand away, screaming, "Don't touch me," instead of accepting help. The adults forced them to dance for entertainment. Cheol chewed his corn in silent rage, refusing to look at the girl who made his childhood miserable. Back at school, the bell rings. A girl freezes in shock, staring at a weirdo who's casually washing his bare feet in the public sink. Meanwhile, senior bullies corner Mii on the stairs. Their teasing grin sent her into a panic, her jaw dropping in pure terror. They treat her like a pet, telling her to run before laughing off. Mii stands frozen, realizing the leader is the famous Jinsei Bimo. He's the school's heartthrob, practically glowing with popularity. Mii cranes her neck in the crowd, desperate to catch another glimpse of the idol. Stars fill her eyes. She convinces herself his mockery was actually a compliment, comparing him to her favorite pop idol in a fit of delusion. Her friends gossip nearby. One thinks a guy staring at her foot because of a cockroach was fate. She bought a lottery ticket, but luck wasn't on her side. In the classroom, a fangirl screams loyalty to her idol. Nearby, Cheol clutches his head in physical pain, desperate to block out the noise. Mii returns to her seat humming, totally oblivious. Opposite her, Cheol sits under a dark cloud of gloom, radiating pure misery. Back home in her pigsty of a room, Mii can't stop replaying that compliment from the school heartthrob, completely distracted from studying. While she daydreams over a book, elsewhere, Cheol is cornered by a gang. He glares at them, coldly rejecting their invitation with a menacing look. Her mom bursts in, screaming at her to clean up the mess. Mii grumbles, forced to sweep the floor while mentally cursing the interruption. Before her mom can throw everything out, Mii grabs some change, yells an excuse about snacks, and flees on her bike like the wind. She slams the brakes, remembering that her nemesis Cheol lives right next door. Picking up a dropped coin, a mischievous plan forms in her mind. She stares at his house, wondering where he disappears to at night. The scene shifts to a sunny morning, drifting back into a distant memory. In the quiet woods of her memory, little Mii strolls along the path until she spots someone sleeping soundly in the grass. It's Cheol, passed out with a shovel. Mii's eyes light up, a wicked grin spreading across her face as she finds the perfect opportunity for mischief. Mii's room is a disaster zone this morning. As her mom yells at her to clean up, she brushes it off, playfully scolds her dog, and dashes out the door. She left early to avoid trouble, but luck isn't on her side. Up ahead, she spots that familiar broad back's Cheol again. Since he's so ungrateful, she decides to treat him like air. She grits her teeth, picks up the pace, and zooms right past him without a word. But karma strikes instantly. She trips over her shoelace and slams right into him. He shoots her a cold look, leaving her crouching on the ground in total embarrassment. Mii is baffled. Why does she keep running into him? Meanwhile, the infamous Lucifer walks ahead, staring at his phone, lost in thought. Cut to gym class. The rhythmic beat of warm-ups fills the air. Cheol stands out in the crowd, stretching his long limbs with serious focus. It's time for sprints. Cheol blasts off like a rocket, clocking in at 6.2 seconds. The other students watch in awe, stunned by his speed. Mii holds her own with a decent 7.8 seconds. But all eyes soon drift to Cheol's feet, specifically those expensive-looking sneakers. Gossip spreads like wildfire. Whispers fill the classroom as everyone buzzes about Lucifer wearing those expensive, limited edition kicks. The rumors turn nasty. Some guess he's rich, while others whisper he bullied kids to steal the money, painting him as a violent thug. Mii can't stand the trash talk and snaps at them. The boys immediately turn on her, teasingly asking if she's got a crush on Cheol. While the teacher drones on, Mii's mind drifts back to a terrifying threat from this morning. If she doesn't clean her room, her mom is throwing everything out. Panic sets in. She realizes something precious might be in that pile of junk. If those expensive shoes get trashed, she's doomed. She suddenly yells, "I don't care!" in the middle of class, startling everyone. But when the final bell rings, her nerves are stretched to the limit. It's Friday freedom. Her friends are hyped for Jaihai's birthday, planning to ditch cram school and party. Everyone is shouting, "Let's go!" The group hits the streets, lined with towering cram schools. The karaoke bar is right in the middle of it all. Mii follows, but her mind is elsewhere. The party starts, and Mii grabs the mic to let loose. But instead of lyrics, Cheol's cold face pops into her mind, imagining him in tears. The lyrics, "You told me to throw it away," hit too close to home. Guilt eats at her as she imagines Cheol screaming. She can't stay at this party another second. An old, outdated pager buzzes. The number code shifts from friends to goodbye. It feels like a sign, a warning she can't ignore. She rushes to a phone booth and dials home frantically, but no one answers. Her heart sinks. Party or not, she has to leave right now. Just as the karaoke party peaks with bonus time, reality hits. Mii explodes in frustration, forced to abandon the fun for cram school. While friends wander off for snacks, Mii sprints toward the academy. The sound of their giggles fades, leaving her alone with the looming pressure of exams. Distracted by a pair of exorbitant sneakers, she crashes into a passerby. She scrambles away with a hasty apology, leaving the boys staring in annoyance. Too late. The bus pulls away, leaving her stranded. Fists clenching in frustration, Mii launches into a desperate sprint through the night. Her stamina hits zero. Lungs burning and mind muddled with hallucinations, Mii pushes her body past its limit under the silent moon. Stress manifests as a nightmare scenario. She hallucinates destroying the expensive shoes. Panic spirals out of control as she flees from her own thoughts. Distracted, she twists her ankle. Before she can recover, a bicycle screeches toward her. Impact is inevitable. They collide with a violent crash. A pupil dilates in sheer terror. The sound of the crash hangs heavy over the city skyline, signaling a disastrous collision. Flashback to a sunny countryside. Little Mii, full of energy, chases after a masked boy, desperate to catch up to her reluctant friend. Left behind, Mii screams in frustration. The adults scold the masked boy for ignoring her, deepening his resentment toward this weird, crying girl. He snaps, screaming, "I don't like her!" to his parents. The next day, he walks his bike in silence, his solitude feeling heavy and melancholic. Just when he thinks he's safe, Mii bursts from the bushes to hitch a ride. Physics takes over. They collide violently, sending the bike and bodies flying. Sprawled on the dirt, he's fuming. Mii checks if he's okay, but immediately demands to tag along, causing him to explode in disbelief and rage. Back to the present. Under the moonlight, scattered belongings, a hat, a bag, a bike lies still on the asphalt, marking the violent point of impact. Tangled on the ground, Pain mixes with fury. Cheol groans under her weight, letting out a guttural growl of pure frustration. He snaps, screaming, "Why are you always popping up?" Mii, pinned and terrified by his outburst, feels her heart pounding against her ribs. Suddenly, he recoils with a scream of pain and scrambles away. Realizing he's hurt, Mii shakes off her shock and chases after him. He tries to push her away, hiding his face, but she insists. Her eyes widen in horror. A visible scratch now mars his cheek. The silence of the night is broken only by her frantic cries. "Sheol! Sheol!" echoes under the stars, filled with rising panic. Past trauma resurfaces, mirroring a terrified boy calling into the void. In the present, the Lucifer facade crumbles. Mii kneels beside him, offering a gentle touch. Flashback to the collision. The hoodie guy panics and accidentally smacks her right on the head. The impact leaves her stunned, but before she can react, he slams the brakes and grabs her to stop the fall. Mii realizes she accidentally stole a shoe, while Lucifer stomps up the stairs in a rage, hopping on one foot. Just as luck, Cheol runs straight into his terrifying father on the stairs, and the air freezes instantly. Meanwhile, Mii sprints home clutching the expensive stolen goods, terrified of getting caught red-handed. Confirming the house is empty, she finally lets out a breath and rushes to hide the evidence. Scrubbing the shoe, Mii grumbles at the culprit, only to realize her own ankle is twisted too. What a mess. Realizing she scared herself, she bursts into manic laughter, only to be met by the cold silence of an empty house. Back with Cheol, things are far from funny. Kneeling on the floor, he faces his father's furious interrogation about the bruises. His sister Sunjong walks in, spots the lone shoe, and instantly senses the suffocating tension in the air. Turns out Cheol almost fought his dad. Now he's locked in his room, while his father breaks down in tears in the living room. Isolated in his room, Cheol buries his face in the pillow, listening to the chaos and feeling like an absolute waste of space. It was all a misunderstanding on the stairs, but the neighbor's prying eyes made it look like Cheol had finally turned into a delinquent. His father bangs on the door trying to apologize, but his aggressive approach only makes Cheol curl up tighter in fear. Alone in the dark, Cheol swallows his pain and makes a silent vow. He will be a perfect, studious son and never cause trouble again. The next day at school, Lucifer shuts down the gossip about his bruised face with a cold, defensive glare. Committed to his good student persona, he joins the reading club, which is basically just boring self-study. The irony is, staring at his books, he realizes he has no idea how to actually study, leaving him frustrated and sighing. Lucifer tries to focus, but the whispers are deafening. The noise triggers a mental explosion, leaving him with nothing but a heavy, defeated sigh. He tells the guy to get lost, but it backfires. Instead of leaving, the boys swarm him with excitement, leaving Lucifer completely confused by their sudden friendliness. The guy goes from regretting his boldness to feeling like a hero. Meanwhile, Lucifer buries his face in his hands, begging for a moment of peace from the chaos. As he rides through the night, a dog's bark triggers him. Dark memories surface instantly, and his mind shuts down with a firm, terrified denial. The nightmare haunts him, fists clenching tight in his sleep. By the time morning birds chirp, he wakes up totally drained, staring blankly at the new day. It's Monday again. He drags himself out of the house, staring at the looming school building with dread and exhaustion, forcing himself to move. He zones out in the chaos until a loud thud jolts him awake. Before he can recover from the shock, the teacher starts the lesson, trapping him in confusion. The scratching sounds of pencils drive him crazy. He slams his desk in frustration, only to find a strange note scribbled right on his textbook. It's an invite to study together. He turns around in disbelief, locking eyes with Mii, who is beaming with innocent expectation. She just won't quit. She lectures him about her brother and mocks him for being a kid, making him explode with frustration right on the street. Something snaps. He spins around, grabs her note, and aggressively scribbles his acceptance, like a declaration of war, leaving her completely shocked. She asks about the scratch on his face via note. Before he can hide it, she pops up and gasps loudly, drawing unwanted attention to his wound. He physically stops her hand to shut her up. Her lack of boundaries is exhausting, and he just begs her to pretend she saw nothing. He storms off alone after school. He convinces himself he has no room for distractions, especially her, and tightens his fists to stay focused. He rushes home to change, but Mii jumps out from nowhere. He screams in terror, only for her to immediately start nagging him about his studying pledge. Just as he's about to lose it, she suggests they study together. Her genuine enthusiasm catches him off guard, freezing his anger instantly. As they walk side by side, he realizes this kind of distraction is exactly what he's afraid of. It's shaking his resolve and freaking him out. She cheerfully suggests they get along, while he mentally lists all the reasons they can't. Suddenly, she lunges at him, catching him completely off guard. She dives behind him to hide from a passerby. Lucifer is baffled. If she's so scared of being seen together, why is she glued to him in the first place? Mia yells that she knows him from way back. Cheol gets an instant headache and tells her to get lost. She ambushes him mid-call. Just as he's about to explode, she screams about studying, forcing him to drag her along. They reach Lucifer's castle. Mia is dazzled by the place, barging in with enough force to nearly knock him over. Her snooping is cut short when he yanks her back, plants her at the desk, orders silence, and slams the door. Same layout, but spotless. She marvels at the difference, recalling the messy kids who used to live here. Still confused about the furniture, she watches Cheol reading in silence and decides to settle down. Mii reveals a rare exam book her dad acquired. Cheol's eyes light up at the quality study material. He grumbles about the bulk, but when he realizes she lugged that heavy book all the way here just for him, he's struck with guilt. Cheol tries to kick her out, but she digs in, babbling about high schools until he snaps that she sounds just like his mother. Looking at his exhausted face, suspicion grows. She narrows her eyes, wondering where he really disappears to every day. The phone rings. She excitedly asks if he has a pager, but he shuts her down. His strict parents would never allow that. After bickering over water, they finally lock in. The clock ticks away as the room fills with the sound of furious scribbling. Done! She celebrates with a stretch, immediately knocking everything over. Cheol closes his eyes, suppressing a scream. While he cleans up her mess, she brings up his expensive shoes and his mom's visit. Cheol freezes. She's touching a nerve. She pushes further, mentioning the time she saw him crying by the trash. His expression goes dark. That's a secret he wanted buried. Terrified of rumors, he begs for silence. Mii swears secrecy with aggressive enthusiasm, promising to treat him like family. She tries to cheer him up with a hop, slips on the wet floor, and crashes right on top of him. Perfect timing. An adult walks in, sees them tangled on the floor, and gives a thumbs up for their youthful passion. Mortified, Mii storms out, screaming internally. But hey, maybe gravity isn't the only thing making her fall. It's a rough morning for Cheol. He leaves the house groggy, gets annoyed by his brother's high energy, and clumsily bangs his head on the way out. He sprints to school, breathless. A classmate waves enthusiastically, but the friendly smile instantly twists into a scornful sneer when he gets close. The guy leans in, whispering rumors about a girlfriend seen with him yesterday. Cheol's guard goes up immediately, as the guy pushes him to introduce her. Back at Mii's house, her mom shows off calligraphy to a guest while Mii cringes in the corner. The mood dips when mom mentions giving up the hobby due to the financial crisis. Back at school, the prying classmate keeps pushing. Cheol snaps, shouting "Don't act buddy-buddy with me," and storms off in a rage. Ignoring the fake "we're all friends" speech, Cheol stomps away furiously, leaving the hallway buzzing with whispers about his public outburst. The rejected classmate smirks, promising regret. Cheol stomps away, cursing under his breath, knowing these guys are linked to his past troubles and won't let it go. Everyone talks about you. The words weigh on him. Cheol hangs his head, knowing that no matter where he transfers, the rumors and unwanted attention always follow. Meanwhile, girls whisper in the hallway. One seems resolved, while another clutches her head in frustration, clearly stressed out by some recurring drama. In class, Mie desperately whispers to the sleeping Cheol, begging for the answer key. He remains stone-cold silent, completely ignoring her plea. Days pass in silence. Mie tries sliding a note ignored. She tries catching him in the hall, but Cheol literally sprints away the moment he sees her. Mie is left fuming in the dust, while Cheol tosses and turns at night. Frustrated beyond words, he ends up on the roof, punching the air to vent his pent-up stress. Fed up with his attitude and their secret promise, Mie decides she's done. She glares at his lost shoe in her room, planning to return it and wash her hands of him. He snatches the expensive shoe, warning her to be careful with it, then drops the bomb. If she fails the next mock exam, she's getting shipped off to cram school. At lunch, classmates mock Mie's sudden study habits and gossip about Lucifer's disappearance. Mie walks alone, feeling the weight of their judgment and the distance between her and everyone else. She spent her last coins on a peace-offering snack, regretting it immediately. Back in class, Cheol still won't turn around. She scribbles angrily in her notebook, missing the pained look on his face. Thunder rumbles as dark clouds roll in. Mie races against the storm, dashing up the stairs to her apartment, ending her exhausting day breathless and worn out. Home alone, Mie finds her favorite Alien tape. Test tomorrow? Whatever. No parents means fast-forward movie time. The movie flops. Bored, she fixates on her mom's calligraphy and a pair of strange shoes, remnants of Cheol's mom's visit. Sleep won't come. Her brain loops every terrifying rumor about Cheol killer, Lucifer gangster. Anxiety spikes. Flashbacks hit mostly of Cheol's death glare. But she can't shake the memory of him crying once. What is he hiding? Meanwhile, Cheol bikes through the night. He pauses to stare at the full moon, eyes heavy with a deep, childhood loneliness. His dad suddenly gets deep, asking if he's stuck on something. Cheol freezes. The question hits too close to home. Dad's encouragement breaks his walls. Cheol curls up in the dark, finally admitting to himself, "Yeah, I'm sad." A sudden flashback, that loud kid screaming, "I want to be friends with Cheol." Pure, chaotic energy that he can't comprehend. Back to Mie. The phone screams. She jolts awake from her nap, heart pounding, and scrambles to answer it. Dead air. The line cuts. Outside, lightning tears the sky, and the empty house suddenly feels full of lurking shadows. Strange rustling noises creep from the corner. Then the phone rings again, insistent, shrieking, like a horror movie clue. Cheol picks up. It's Mie, sounding hysterical. Thunder booms outside, and his expression shifts from annoyance to alarm. Plunged into darkness, Mie stumbles blindly. Every creak and groan of the house sounds like a monster closing in. Suddenly static. The TV flickers to life, revealing a ghostly face in the noise. Mie screams, terrified. The VCR goes possessed, rewinding on its own. The eerie figure on the screen sharpens. It's too much. The ghostly face stares back while the phone keeps screaming. Mie freezes, pupil dilating, completely paralyzed by fear. Thunder cracks like a bomb. To her, the ceiling is splitting, the world is ending. Panic takes full control. Cut to Cheol sprinting through the downpour. He curses under his breath, but his grip on the umbrella screams worry. He shouts for her. Suddenly, she bursts out of the building, running blindly into the rain, screaming his name. Collision! She clings to him, babbling about ghosts and TV static. Cheol grabs her tight, trying to anchor her in reality. Rain lashes down as a hysterical Mie clings to Cheol, screaming about something in the house, leaving him frustrated and confused. Cornered by her panic, Cheol hesitates before forcing himself to push the creaky door open, stepping into the unknown. Darkness swallows the room. Cheol checks the fuse box it's fine, making the suffocating silence even more unnerving. Static fills the TV screen. Buttons click uselessly, deepening the eerie mystery and spiking Mii's anxiety. Cheol dismisses it as a nightmare, but Mii vehemently denies it, haunted by the terrifying face she saw. Desperate to prove her sanity, Mii volunteers to check the next room, only for the lights to flicker on perfectly. The bright light turns the horror into humiliation. Mii's face burns with shame and defensive anger under Cheol's gaze. Stammering, she explains the old chair came from his mom, mortified that he caught her using his discarded furniture. Cheol turns to investigate the noise source, leaving Mii fuming with a mix of embarrassment and territorial anxiety. Unable to bear the distance, Mii grabs his sleeve, her voice trembling as she confronts him. "You're avoiding me, aren't you?" Cheol snaps, lashing out with hurtful words to push her away, his eyes hiding deep-seated trauma and defense. A sudden crash from the window shatters the emotional tension, putting both of them on high alert instantly. Reality warps into horror as walls crack and unseen monsters seem ready to hatch, terrifying them both. The horror reveals itself as a pest invasion, leaving Cheol stunned and horrified in the chaotic rainy night. Overcome with mortification, Mii screams and bolts into the rain, desperate to escape the sheer embarrassment. Umbrella in hand, Cheol stands frozen, watching her frantic retreat with a complex mix of relief and confusion. The memory reveals absolute chaos, a frenzied battle against the intruders, with screams echoing through the room. In the aftermath, amidst the mess and stains, Mii stands traumatized, holding the weapon with a hollow, shell-shocked stare. Cut to the hospital. Cheol stands breathless in slippers, soaked and panting, eyes burning with worry and suppressed rage. Tension spikes on the stairs as someone gets grabbed for being late. Cheol watches with a cold, annoyed stare, clearly over the drama. Cut to exam, cramming. Mii is losing it. She wasted precious time scrubbing mud off the floor after Cheol left, and now panic sets in. Disaster strikes, the VCR breaks, and she takes her rage out on the machine. Her dad walks in at the worst moment, sparking a chaotic family feud. To make matters worse, the power goes out. Studying in the dark, Mii starts cracking under pressure, hallucinating a voice calling her name from outside. Exam day arrives, and she actually falls asleep. The teacher slams a stick down, startling her awake in a panic before she even knows what's happening. She thinks she's a genius, breezing through every question with a manic grin. But reality hits hard. It was all a dream, and she's drooling on her test paper. The exam is a disaster. Mii wails in despair while her friends laugh it off. Behind her, Cheol watches the meltdown with a mix of judgment and silence. Flashback reveals the truth. Cheol tried to wake her up but got yelled at for cheating. He took the fall while she slapped through the chaos. Walking home alone, the weight of failure settles in. But amidst the gloom, her mind drifts back to the image of that boy with the stick. A bike bell rings, and Cheol appears from the alley. Caught off guard and embarrassed, Mii forces a painfully awkward smile to hide her shame. She stammers out an explanation about the power outage and tries to apologize. He ignores her and rides off, leaving her yelling at his retreating back. Suddenly Cheol explodes, shouting back from a distance, "I'm sorry I made you come over. And thank you for helping." He screams his gratitude and flees. After screaming his lungs out, Cheol freezes in shock. Standing under the starry sky, he can't believe he just blurted out his true feelings so loudly. The night is quiet, but his mind is racing. He instantly regrets the outburst, worrying that his aggressive apology might have just made things worse. Meanwhile, Mii watches a plane and deludes herself into thinking she passed. By morning, she's marching to school, convinced she escaped cram school hell. Reality hits like a truck. The teacher drags her to the office and roasts her. The test paper is a sea of red marks. A pathetic score of 30 shatters her dreams. No mercy. The teacher berates her for tanking the class average and sentences her to 10 pages of lines. Mii stands before the locked classroom, utterly defeated. Dragging her feet to room 3-9, she reluctantly pushes the door open. Surprised someone else is already there. Looks like she's not the only screw-up today. Panic sets in as she fantasizes about forging her report card to fool her parents. While she sweats bullets, the guy next to her just casually chews gum. Frustration peaks as she bangs her head on the desk, unable to focus. Just as she's about to lose it completely, the mysterious guy stands up and approaches her. A sudden noise startles her. She spins around to find him sitting way too close for comfort. Before she can react, a paper ball hits her head. She explodes in anger, meeting his cool, provoking stare. He claims boredom and invades her space, while miles away, her mom worries if she's getting bullied. Dad knows the truth. Her naive, cute nature makes her an easy target for bad influences. Meanwhile, Cheol makes a cold calculation. Simply ignore her, and the problem goes away. April Fools brings a charming new boy, Jinseep, and Mi completely panics under his gaze. He stares intensely, then drops a bombshell question. You're the one who was washing her feet, right? Fate intervenes. Stuck in detention together, Miei is thrilled to be trapped with her crush. Seeing him struggle, she eagerly leans in to help, desperate to impress despite her own clumsiness. She takes charge, seizing the chance to play teacher with overflowing enthusiasm. He calls her amazing, and she beams, her ego soaring as she dives back into the lesson. He dashes off, leaving a lollipop and a thank you, but stings her by calling her Myung. While Cheol stresses over grades, Miei wonders why the genius boy looks so exhausted. Cheol schemes to hide his scores, while Miei exudes a bizarre, unearned confidence about hers. She tries to suggest studying together, but Cheol shuts her down instantly. Cold, hard rejection. Reality hits at the shoe store. The cost of cram school is a shocking burden on her struggling parents. Success costs money, and Miei feels the weight of it, knowing her own answers were just random guesses. Cheol tries to slip by with his struggling dog, but nosy neighbors corner him about his grades. Suddenly, a figure barrels into the frame screaming, crashing straight into Cheol. Chaos erupts instantly. It's Miei's dad joining the chase. Confused but frantic, Cheol yells at her to freeze. Minutes ago, Cheol was just walking home, while Miei woke up in class with a rage that could shatter glass. The misunderstanding is cleared, but Miei isn't listening. She screams, "I hate this," and bolts down the street. Cheol lunges and snags her hood. She thrashes like a fish out of water, but his grip is iron tight. Slippery move. She sheds the hoodie, leaving him holding air. She'd rather freeze than go to that crammed school. Watching her disappear around the corner, Cheol clenches his fist, absolutely fed up with this drama. Back home, Dad stared at the failing grades with a face like thunder. Miei cowered behind the door, trembling. The verdict: mandatory cram school. Miei snapped, screamed at her parents, and sprinted out barefoot. Back on the street, Cheol locks onto his target. He takes a breath and launches into a full sprint. Gotcha! Miei swings and kicks wildly, but she's no match for his strength as he drags her back. Patience gone, Cheol hoists her over his shoulder like a sack of potatoes, ignoring her piercing screams. He cuts her off coldly. Save the complaints for your parents. You're waking up the whole neighborhood. And so begins the walk of shame. Cheol marches her home, carrying the squirming girl past shocked onlookers. Delivery complete. He dumps her in front of her parents, wipes the sweat, and walks away, clearly done with this mess. Cheol walks away without looking back. Miei stands there sobbing as her mom rushes out with slippers. That night, Cheol's angry words echo in her mind. If you have something to say, just say it. She decides to fight back. She marches out to confront them, only to end up standing right in front of the crammed school. Welcome to reality. Under the neon signs of endless academies, Mii's scream of despair is lost in the noise. Mii protests, hating how rundown the academy looks, but Mom stands firm. The friend discount makes the decision final. Even her brother sides with Mom, pointing out their tight budget and her poor grades. Mie slumps, defeated by the harsh truth. She screams at the night sky, venting her frustration before finally caving in. Gritting her teeth, she accepts her fate. Fine, I'll do it. The next day, Mie forces a smile, trying to hype herself up. She convinces herself it won't be so bad if she just focuses. Arriving at the shabby building, she takes a deep breath in the elevator to calm her nerves. The doors slide open Judgment Day. The reception is cramped, but the staff is surprisingly eager. The manager confirms her name with a smile that feels a bit too calculated. After a quick placement test, the staff praises her work and guides her down the hall. Mie exhales, thinking she nailed it. She enters Class A. The students look normal, even friendly. Mie's heart settles. Thank God, a normal class. But the relief is short-lived. The manager returns with a smirk. Mistake. Not here. He leads her to the ominously named Class S. The door opens to a different world. Class S is chaotic and listless, filled with students who look like they'd rather be anywhere else. Meanwhile, Cheel races on his bike. A sudden flashback of hurting his little sister distracts him, guilt clouding his focus. Screech crash. In that split second of distraction, he slams onto the pavement, bike parts scattering everywhere. Ignoring the pain, he looks up and freezes. Standing there is Taeyuke, his childhood tormentor. What is he doing here? As the figure disappears, Cheel collapses on the curb, head in hands. The encounter leaves him feeling utterly pathetic. Cheel arrives at the academy, hiding in a corner to brood. Meanwhile, inside Class S, the tension is starting to boil over. Mie tries to switch seats, but a girl with short hair shoots her a deadly glare and snaps a single command. Move! The awkwardness is thick until two boys wave her over, offering a seat to save her from the hostility. The hostile girl suddenly flips a switch, smiling and asking to be friends. Then comes the real motive. Don't got any money? Seeing Mie's shock, she laughs it off as a joke. The toxic mood swing is so bad even the other students call her out. Bully Youngwi corners a trembling student, spewing venom and humiliation while the rest of the class watches in paralyzed fear. Cut to the crammed schoolet's absolute chaos. One student slams his desk demanding silence, while another blasts music, ignoring the tension. The teacher claims they're nice kids, but Mie stares in horror at the paper-throwing zoo. She's definitely landed in this special class for troublemakers. The bullies are shocked to hear Mie is from the prestigious Beiji Middle School. Suddenly, the door clicks open, interrupting their interrogation. Cheel walks in late, brushing off teasing remarks, until he freezes. He locks eyes with Mie, and the air in the room instantly turns heavy. The guy in the hat connects the dots and screams Cheel's name in disbelief. Mie gasps, realizing their cover is blown instantly. Cheel loses it. He curses under his breath, sweating profusely, and glares at Mie while the rest of the class watches the drama unfold. Cheel's mind races. Why is she here? It feels like a cruel prank of fate. Neither of them can focus on a single word of the lesson. The clueless teacher makes the inevitable Cheel and Mie joke. The class erupts in laughter, pushing Cheel to the breaking point as he snaps back. Class finally ends. Cheel groans in frustration, ruffling his hair, and rushes out into the night to escape the humiliation. Cheel storms past Mie without a word. While popular guy Jinsip eagerly invites her to walk home, Cheel glances back, but decides to leave her behind. Mie walks home alone through the bustling city streets. The noise of traffic surrounds her, highlighting her sudden isolation. Back home, the truth comes out: her dad used his connection with Cheel's father to get her in. Mie feels the weight of yet another debt to that family. Mie retreats to her room, wondering if this twisted fate is inescapable. Frustration boils over, and she stomps out, screaming for her mom. Meanwhile, Cheel explodes at his family, accusing them of setting this up. His sister just laughs, driving him to slam his door in a blind rage. Cheel throws his bag and clutches his head in despair, feeling trapped. His sister, however, smirks. She has a good feeling about this chaos. Standing by the window, Cheel questions his sanity. Mi is everywhere he turns. It feels like he can't escape her no matter what. He glares out the window in frustration, only to freeze. Across the gap, framed in her own window, stands Mei.